Demas on behalf of Senator Webb.
Oh, good.
Yes, I'm not sure where you would like me or
Probably somewhere in the front row.
Front row.
My sense is it's kind of like church. Built in front. That's what I'm guessing. Dan's actually in charge here.
Hi, Dan. Stacey Demas, Chief of Staff to Senator Webb.
Oh, hi.
Thanks for coming. So I'm here.
No, I
as I said.
appreciate you making the trip.
We're excited. We're excited. What's your name?
Dan.
Dan.
Maybe one of my cards.
And I forgot I
Don't
finally got my
worry.
card. I'm very, very happy about that.
That's not bad.
I just confirmed.
Homer, Phoenix, Secretary of State, Randy.
And then Hamilton.
Yep. How did your birthday speak?
Yeah, just to make sure.
I appreciate it.
I'm Michelle Rosales. I'm with the Department of State Communications. How are you? No, thank you
If
for
it
doing this.
doesn't work, then we all look really good.
Oh no,
I love technology when it works.
I know, me too.
I think it shows them what ready to go on.
Senator Stacey Demas, Chief of Staff to Senator Webb.
Well, welcome everybody. It's really a pleasure to be here this morning. So many smiling faces. I heard something really spectacular is going to happen, so I showed up. And really, really so excited to be here. So let me introduce myself. I'm Randy Wolken. I'm president and CEO of MACNY, the Manufacturers Association. We cover this region and many regions throughout the state with hundreds of members who make things right here in New York State. But my other hat that I get to wear this morning is I'm co-chair of the Regional Economic Development Council, which is one of the most wonderful things I get to do is meet with community groups, work with the wide region, the 5-county region, working on tremendous projects like this. And so it's especially exciting to come here today and talk about the investments being made in this community. So, but I have a few things that I must do first, so I hope that I get it right. My apologies ahead of time. If I mispronounce someone's name, I apologize right up front. First of all, we want to welcome the Secretary of State, Robert Rodriguez. Thank you for being here. We also have the opportunity to welcome 4 mayors from around the region here. So the Homer Mayor, Hal McCabe. Phoenix Mayor, Caleb Sweet. The Hamilton Mayor, Ruth Ann Lovelace. And the Moravia Mayor, Gary Mullaney. We're excited to welcome Robert here today. We were chatting a little bit beforehand, how exciting it is for the region and for the entire state for what's going on in our community. I'm sure you read somewhere of the historic announcement that Micron is coming. It shows in this community, in our community, as one of the best places to make semiconductor storage in the world. That's a pretty bold statement for communities like ours. And by the way, that will happen throughout the region. It won't just be in Clay, New York. It'll be throughout the region and well beyond. I don't think I ever thought when I took this job 20 years ago that it would say it's highly likely that the manufacturing workforce in this region will triple. It'll go from about 25,000 direct workers, could be closer to 3 times that amount in the next 20 years. That is worth a clap, right? And we had lots of people to thank for that. The list goes on, but of course the governor was instrumental in making sure that was a reality with the Green Chips Act. But so many other partners throughout the state of New York, and of course Senator Schumer and our federal representatives all made that possible. As in America, we've decided it's really important to make things again. Yep. Here, not halfway across the globe. And of course, our Secretary of State is no stranger to serving the communities. He spent 11 years in the Assembly representing East Harlem, and I want to thank you for that service as well. So you didn't come to hear me speak, so we'll now have the Secretary of State address you. Thank you.
Great. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Randy, for that very warm introduction. And it's a real pleasure to be back here in Central New York on behalf of Governor Hochul. And there's I think a running joke, which I'm proud of, is just when the Secretary of State comes to your town, it's generally good news. He's generally going to do something good. So I've been here numerous times as Secretary. I've toured the city of Auburn. I, of course, visited our DRI site in Cortland, as well as saw the transformation that's happening in those cities, in addition to, of course, supporting our great New York Fair. And every time that I've come, I've learned more about the region and more about the unique communities that represented. And there are so many different unique experiences to have here in Central New York. So now that we're here in Homer, in this really wonderful place, the Center for the Arts, it's really one of those hidden gems that exist in the region that we're now able to raise up, highlight, and continue to build upon, and really recognizing that this place has been here for 20 years. So happy anniversary to the Center for the Arts. Absolutely, and thank you for hosting us here today for this really wonderful announcement. And we're excited to see the opportunities for growth. Especially when we hear and learn about the big investments in technology that are happening that the governor announced with respect to Micron. It's $100 billion over the next 20 years to build a computer chip manufacturing facility in Clay. So you've already heard about the 50,000 new jobs, but what we also recognize is those jobs don't and will not exist in a vacuum. It's the communities that we build to support them. It's the infrastructure, the housing, the culture, the parks, the open space, the waterfront access, the recreational opportunities that all come together to help support the people that are going to make the manufacturing go, the families that we're looking to support all across the state. And that's happening, not just here in Central New York, but all over the state. What we recognize is that when we're investing in our communities, we can positively impact not just that community, but the entire region. And the economic and social implications are enormous. And we know that continuing to invest in our communities is what will make them flourish. When we don't invest, when we overlook communities, they struggle. And that's why the governor has made it her mission since she was lieutenant governor through today and moving forward to make sure that no community is left behind. It is not just about the big investments. It's not just about the mega projects in New York City and now your mega project in Micron. It's also about the smaller communities, making sure that we're taking care of all of those. So today is why that announcement is so important. We're proud to have the recipients for 2 major economic development programs here with us today. Our Downtown Revitalization Initiative, starting right here in Homer. So we get to announce $10 million for the Village of Homer. And I have to thank Randy, because when I visited Portland and was through our tour of DRI, they made it clear to say there was some dynamic synergy between Homer and that they had good things that are happening. And Randy and the RADC recognized that, and I just wanted to say what Homer's doing right now is seeking to reactivate its waterfront and create a downtown for the 21st century, making this historic village an ideal destination for visitors from all around the region and the state. They've identified in their DRI area a walkable 270-acre section in the village, along with the Old Homer National Register Historic District and the Central Business District, which encompasses a mix of residential, commercial, civic, and religious structures. That's what they're building around. They're not forgetting about their culture and their history. They're actually looking to invest in it and celebrate it for the future. So this vision about restoring historic buildings, expanding the cultural assets like these, like the one that we're in, creating new job opportunities, and increasing sustainability, resiliency from climate change, as well as creating public spaces and attracting new residents. That's the special sauce of downtown revitalization. That's what all comes together, to make our communities shine for the next generation. So let the fun begin, because this is not the end of a process. This is the beginning of some important work that happens. And what makes the DRI special is that it is not the state coming in and telling a community how they should change and develop and transform. It's the community saying how they want to change and transform and utilize their $10 million grant. It's a plan and then act strategy. So since you've been named, the mayor is now in charge of convening this local planning committee to help determine how to best utilize those $10 million. So that's it. We come together, we plan, we think about the DRI model. It's community-based decision-making. You all invest in the process, create your vision, and tell us the story that you want to tell about your history, your heritage, and your community. So it's really very much about you and about how those pieces come together. It's not just a list of projects in isolation. Many of them have economic development components, housing components, streetscapes, public space, public art, small business support that all come together to make it an important community-based initiative for real economic development. So it's more than $10 million. It's an exercise in community outreach, community building, and helping to build support around a shared vision for the future. And one of those things we like to say, public-private partnership. It is really that. It is not just $10 million. We bring in a lot of private investment once they realize that the state is in and committed. So with that, congratulations to the city, to the Village of Homer. For being this year's DRI winner for the region. But now let's talk about our smaller communities, because they are no less important to the people who live in it and to the fabric of Central New York. And that is why the governor, while we were doing round 5 of DRI, heard much of the feedback around downtown revitalization and said, we're missing some people. 10 million might be great for some places, but some smaller towns, villages, and hamlets may need something a little bit smaller, maybe right-sized for the projects that they have. Maybe it's not $10 million worth of projects. So we recognized that, and that's why last year we created the first New York Forward program. $100 million to make sure that we provide support for our smaller communities. And here we are. We are announcing now our winners of New York Forward. So with that, let's recognize the Village of Phoenix. In Oswego County, they're receiving $4.5 million to realize their plans. But they are not alone. Because we are now able to create New York Forward, we're able to support more communities in their transformations. So with that, we also have the Village of Hamilton in Madison County for $2.25 million, and the Village of Moravia for $2.25 million. Because it's all of these communities coming together that create a strong Central New York. So let's talk a little bit about their plans, because it's their hard work and their community's vision that have gotten us to this point. So the Village of Phoenix's vision focuses on embracing its canal history by enhancing its economic, residential, and recreational opportunities in the Canal Waterfront District and recreating the thriving canal community that existed along Oswego Canal Lock 1. And the goal is by expanding businesses and affordable housing near a waterfront setting, the village can attract people from around the country with its distinct canal-centered environment. Moravia is looking to create a thriving downtown that supports the community, promotes sustainable growth, and protects its natural resources. Strategically located between Auburn, Cortland, and Ithaca, the village's goal is to become the sole provider of key services to southern Cayuga County and seeks to enhance opportunities for business, cultural, and recreational growth. And Hamilton, which we will give a special shout out to because the Lieutenant Governor couldn't be here, but he brings strong ties to the region as being a Colgate alum. He wanted me to make sure I mentioned that in my remarks. But Hamilton focuses on the historic downtown center area as the commercial center for thousands of rural residents of Central New York and the home of the student population at Colgate. They want to make sure that students stay post-graduation and attract new young professionals and families and allow existing residents to age in place. By expanding our housing opportunities, we're able to create civic spaces and improve business development, arts, culture, and recreation. So they hope to do that with their investment. And really, that's what we keep hearing, is that we want to be able to keep our families in Central New York. We want to have amenities that come with downtowns. We want our seniors to be able to age in place and to age in the right kind of housing that works for them. So really, it's an exciting time in Central New York. Things look bright, and for these communities, we want to offer you a very special Valentine's Day. The governor brought the love. And as for the Department of State, this is one of our marquee initiatives. DRI and New York Forward gives us the opportunity to work really closely with our local governments and with our communities and help invest in them. So, as I mentioned, it's the beginning of a process that will continue over the next 6 months till we come up with our projects in our strategic investment plan. So, I'm looking forward to that. We're looking forward to the opportunity to see this progress in these 4 communities. And I'll just give a special thanks to my staff because they will become the mayor's best friends during this process. We have Lissa Dunquani. Lissa, stand up. There you go. And Holly Granat. So thank you all for being here. Congratulations to all of our mayors and to our communities. And with that, I'd like to introduce our DRI winner, the Mayor of Homer, Hal McKay.
Good morning, Homer. So, 2 years ago, we received an award at NICOM, the National Conference of Mayors, for an achievement in municipal achievements, whatever it was. And I went up and gave a speech and said, the most important thing I could do as a mayor is know when to say yes. And that is, I realized, is only partially true. The second most important thing I can do as a mayor is surround myself with the best people, which is what I did, and which is why we're here. So, not to make this sound like an Oscars award speech, but I do have some people I would like to thank, and really that's the most important thing I'm going to do today. First of all, obviously, Mr. Secretary, thank you for coming. Really appreciate it. I'm glad it's not your first trip, and hopefully it's not your last to our wonderful county. This one, I have to thank my trustee, Ed Finkbeiner. Where is Ed? There he is, back there. With help from Victor Siegel. Ed was like a dog with a bone on the DRI, right? He would not leave me alone. I don't know if you know Ed, but that's sort of in keeping with Ed. He would not leave me alone, and I said, Ed, we'll do it. And we just he kept on me, and we did it, and here we are. So Ed, thank you very much for always keeping after me. So that was important. And then of course, Dan and Tanya and the rest of the village staff, and Deputy Mayor Pat Clune, because Pat is always there for me, and I really appreciate that. I want to thank Gary Van Gorder and Eric Mulvihill from the BDA IDC. They put together an amazing video for us, and they did a lot of help and consulting and nudging us in the correct direction. That meant a lot. My Economic Development Committee, that was important, and we also convened a DRI committee. A lot of volunteer hours, a lot of sitting around. We did feed you free pizza, but still, for all the hours you put in, right? It was a lot, and I thank you all. And our work, as you heard, just started. So mostly your work has just started, but no, I'm just kidding. And of course, Dan Kalinsky from Empire State Development. Dan was great in working with us. He made several trips down here to Homer to help guide us and sort of give us insight, and that meant the world to us. So we're looking forward to putting together a really great package. I think we've got some amazing projects here in the village. As you know, it's a very historic place, and so we're going to put a premium on making sure that we retain that feel. We're not looking to give that away, but we also want to position ourselves to be ready for Micron, because that's going to be an enormous thing for this region. So again, thank you all for coming, and thank you very much. I'll keep it that brief, and with that, I'd like to introduce the Mayor of Phoenix, Caleb Sweet.
Well, I'd like to thank the Secretary of State for being here. Nice meeting you. Lovely to be in this village of Homer. My name is Caleb Sweet, the Mayor of Phoenix, and we'd like to thank Kathy Hochul and the Empire State Development Committee for thinking of us and accepting our bids for the New York State Forward and DRI grant. But like the Mayor of Homer said, we would not be here if it wasn't for the staff of people that I have beneath me. My wonderful trustees that are here, Brian Borchek and Paul Greiser, the endless hours of work they put together to make our video and make our presentation, and Kathy Lamanche, our wonderful grant writer. We would not be here if it wasn't for them. And the backbone of our village, I just forgot his name. Jim Lynch. I'd like to have a round of applause for them because they really did put in a lot of tireless hours. Our little village, which is located on the banks of the Oswego River, is steeped in culture, is steeped in history. And over the past few years, we've been working hard to bring that type of lifestyle back. And with this grant, we are truly thankful. The things that we're about to do and are able to achieve will finally be noticed. So with that, I'd like to thank Kathy Hochul and everyone here for joining us. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you. I'd like to now announce Ruth Ann Lovelace.
Mr. Secretary, it's a pleasure to see you again, and I hope you'll take my best wishes back to the Lieutenant Governor. Nice for that shout out. It's wonderful to be sitting here with such an auspicious group of people and hearing the wonderful plans they have for these very special grants that we have all received, and I'm honored to be here. I send my deepest appreciation to Governor Hochul for keeping downtown revitalization alive and well and in her budget, and to the RADC for choosing us to be one of the recipients. Just to give you a little bit of info about Hamilton, the village, if you haven't been there. It's a charming small village that combines all aspects of a vibrant college town amidst the beautiful rural countryside. We have it all. It also serves as the anchor for southern Madison County. The village is on an academic trajectory, but as most municipalities, we need municipal funds to make our dreams come true, and I think everyone sitting here understands that issue. This grant will provide important funding for crucial projects that we have planned, and the Secretary mentioned the heart of it, but I'll just give you a couple of tidbits about a couple aspects. Number one is affordable housing. We are very committed to increasing our housing stock. We have 2,000 people, 2,000, who leave our village at 5 o'clock at night because they live elsewhere. That is an immense amount of human capital that we lose, and we want to try to capture that. In addition, Colgate University, Hamilton Dental School, the hospital, all lose possible employees because they cannot find housing within our village. So it is critical for us as we move forward. Economic opportunities is another key. Hamilton has developed a successful entrepreneurial climate that needs expansion and additional support if we are not only to help our business community grow and thrive, but also maintain itself. And the third that I want to mention, of course, is infrastructure. And who here doesn't have infrastructure issues? You know, we have sewer and water lines that are 100 or more years old. There isn't a year that goes by that we don't have a number of breaks that cause, obviously, a disturbance to the community and put undue stress on our workers. So the infrastructure always remains part of any funding plan that we have. But I do want to mention, like the other mayors said, we don't do this alone. I too have a staff that is remarkable and keeps things moving. But in addition to that, partnerships are critically important. And I want to thank our colleagues from Colgate University and the town of Hamilton for their collaborative support in all that we do and move forward. And a very special shout out to Jocelyn Gavitt, from Executive Director of our Partnership for Community Development, who played a very key role in formulating this application. Grants like these are transformative and breathe new life into municipalities. Once again, we are most appreciative of the opportunities we have before us. Thank you. I'm delighted to introduce Moravia's mayor.
Good afternoon, folks. My name is Gary Mulvaney. I happen to be the mayor of the village of Moravia. I'm known to a lot of people as Rocky. I answer to that more often than I do Gary. So, If you hear that, that's the reason I turned when somebody said it, so. This is a great day for Moravia. We've never even been thinking about something like this. We worry about what we gotta do next week and how we're gonna pay for it, so. This has been a real big tool for all of us. My staff that we have in the village, 4 trustees and the clerks and the treasurer, do a phenomenal job for everything that we've done. And they're, you know, pretty soon, there's days that we don't get along real well, but we always figure it out. And we always get it done. So it's great to be able to be, and with people, everybody in the village, when this thing come up, I couldn't get anybody to get interested in it, so we went in door to door with David Nelson to talk to people. We got everybody kind of going on it, so. The stuff that I wrote up now, I was just rambling on there. I'll try to read this. Village of Moravia is a close-knit community with wealth of culture, history, and pride. With a sound planning and transformation vision, our village is poised to extend your offerings to become a tourism and social destination for the entire state. The New York Forward funding will help us to achieve our goals. I want to thank the governor and her staff for approaching and renovation of downtown and the smaller communities like ours. And there's more than just one. There's 2 of us in Moravia, or 2 of us here, and 2 other ones that are a little bit bigger than we are, but they needed it. So, but I do want to thank everybody that got us possible. I don't know how the committee picked us, but I'm damn glad they did. So. Thank you very much.
Well, Randy's going to close us out, but before we do that, I wanted to make sure that we recognized our partners, because in government, you know, we don't do it alone, and especially when we move into our budget time, we really heavily rely on our legislative partners to believe in programs like this and our ability to transform communities. So I want to recognize, we have representatives from Assemblymember Barkley's office, as well as Senator Webb's office here with us today. And many of our other electeds could not be with us because they're doing the people's work in Albany during session, but they are certainly here in spirit, and I'm so glad that we're able to invest in so many of their communities here as well. So thank you, and thank you to them in absentia.
So as I was sitting there thinking, this is better than the Oscars. You see all the smiles, you see all the investment. I grew up in a small town, and small towns and small communities where people make investments come back in spades. And so I want to tell you that we're so glad and excited that the process is extended to so many more communities of your size. And we think and we believe, given the investments coming, so much more of this can go on. So we wish you well on your projects. We've seen the plans, they're outstanding. We know how hard you're working. Please continue to do that. And of course, thanks for making the investments that need to be made at all levels, because without it, we would not have been chosen as the place to be in the country for the future of technology. So it's all of your hard work that makes that possible. I want to thank the Secretary of State for being here today. Of course, thank my good friend, the Governor. Kathy said many times coming through the area as Lieutenant Governor, it's this community involvement at the Regional Economic Development Council level that provides the feedback necessary so we can make smart investments. And of course, the legislative leaders who support the program, as Robert mentioned, is so important to all this process. So I will stop it here. You've got plenty to eat and drink. Enjoy the rest of the day. And thank you for coming.